Good evening and welcome back to the What Life. We are going racing. We are doing Race the World's Zwift Monthly, and it's the Lock Loop. It's a double looper, 10 miles, 16k on the nose. We are riding this as a Cat B. Let's roll, guys. This is the same race I did on Monday night as a Cat C. This time we're taking it on with 50 other fellow Cat B riders. I'm kind of borderline at the moment between Cat B and Cat C. I'm really putting an effort to try and level up. I'm just going to say at this point two things. First and foremost, I put a video out today on some strength training for cyclists. I will tag it at the top of the screen now. Check it out. Any likes, comments are very much appreciated. But also, I do actually value that kind of training as being a huge part of what is helping me kind of go from being a Cat C rider to hopefully being able to hold some strong Cat B races. Secondly, I am doing a Sun God sunglass giveaway on Monday. So check back on Monday. I'm dropping a video that I filmed yesterday, which is trying to put down my fastest lap in Richmond Park. Obviously, I kind of feel like doing that video and trying to hammer out a 17-minute Richmond Park loop solo probably took a bit of a toll on my legs for this evening. So the stats for this evening, I hold 3.4 watts per kg for this race. It was an interesting one, and it was, I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. RT from a fellow rider, RT, dived in on the comments, was keeping an eye on me. He noticed that I'd come and joined in the race, which was nice of him. And for a large part, I did actually think that the first loop that we did today was a little bit soft. That's not me, throwing, well, I guess I am throwing petrol on a fire here somewhat unnecessarily, but it did feel that way. And to give you more numbers, I finished this race in 22:33, which is 24 seconds off my time from the massive 170 person ride that we had in Cat C on Monday. The winner of the group, RT, who puts in a phenomenal sprint finish, and I'll try and tag his YouTube where he just records his last kilometre of the race, where he just absolutely hammers it. It was impressive to watch. He takes the win in 21:50 something, I'm pretty sure, which actually there was a massive Cat C race earlier in the week, I think Tuesday night, maybe 5-6 p.m. in the UK, and they put down a 21:55-ish winning time. So it is really interesting that, obviously the more people you have in a race, the faster a race will be, because it gives more people a chance to kind of ride at the front, and effectively you share the workload a little bit. So our 50-person group riding Cat B, we didn't quite put in as solid a performance as a massive Cat C race. So here we go. That's the blurred lines, and I think this is what the conversation that is taking place in a lot of my comments on some of my videos is basically highlighting. Is that in actual fact, Cat B and Cat C, there is a portion of it where one kind of drifts into the other. But once again, I am enjoying the journey. I love kind of racing. I definitely felt like being quite tired and fatigued played on the legs. So diving into the racing itself. And we're coming into the first climb on the first loop. As a tip, guys, I want to try and be constructive. I want to try and help some people if I can. I was trying to be way more smooth with my riding. When I ride in Cat B, I can't play silly buggers. I have to behave. I have to try and literally ride just more of a tactical race where I am considered, I'm thoughtful, and I try and kind of factor what point do I use my power up. And, one of the things that I've been realizing in a Cat C race is sometimes I just stomp on the pedals. And what I mean by that is, we'll be riding along at 220, 240 watts, and then we'll get to a climb and I'll just like kick it into like 450 watts or something like that, which is unnecessary. And what that does is that it just overstrains my muscles. I produce too much lactate. So by the time I get to the top of a climb, I'm really kind of jazzed out and gassed and I can't hold on. Obviously, one of the main differences between Cat B and Cat C is how Cat B riders tend to ride off the top of the hill. this kind of makes me feel like I really don't ever want to ride a Cat A race, because I imagine that they do the same thing but harder. And that's the hardest thing for me. But also at the same time, I think it's one of the things that has helped me improve the most, which is getting to the top of a climb and then having to hold on to your wattage, kind of what feels somewhat unnecessarily, as you will ride off and then before the pace actually calms back down again. That's definitely one of the things that has really helped my riding, is trying to hold on to those wattages once you get to the top of a climb that kind of keep you within the group. And for Cat Bs, I have to really work hard. But the nice thing is, or the thing that I have noticed, that if I'm smooth with it, if I build that wattage up gently, or I find like a good point for the wattage and try and hold it, it works so much better than just jumping on the pedals, trying to hammer out like a little burst, a little kick, because that little kick can just produce a little bit too much lactate. You go over your LT2, and then the recovery can take longer than you actually anticipate. So that's my 2 cents on it, and that's how it feels. And as well as improving as a cyclist and aerobically and from a strength perspective, I definitely feel like my ability to just ride that little kind of top section over the top is helping. Interestingly, though, I think, I basically lose the group. Little spoiler alert, guys. I lose the group on the last climb, on the last loop. And I think that's basically what means that I don't put on in such a strong time like I did for the Cat C race earlier in the week. I think the tired legs definitely play a role in that. One thing I did find really interesting, because obviously I kind of do a little deep dive after races in stats and people and what's been going on, like the winning time and things like that. I saw RT, like, as much, I appreciate the messages. I had a quick look at your Zwift Power, and man, like, interestingly, there's some days where he'll do 4 or 5 races. Well, it looks that way, unless he's like got a family account and he's got a group of everyone in his family just kind of dives on the turbo one after the other, because there are just some days where he'll do like 4 races that are like 20 minutes long and hold very similar wattages repeatedly as effectively multiple tempo sessions. I thought that was super interesting in terms of a training perspective, because that's something that I feel like, I hadn't even thought about it, but I feel like that can be a huge training tool to kind of really help build strength and endurance. And it's something I'm going to give perhaps a go within the next few weeks, which is maybe doing a 5 o'clock race that's, one of these Zwift monthlies that's 20-25 minutes, and then trying to repeat it after that kind of 35-minute break again, basically. And it's effectively just a split tempo session. I thought that would, like, that kind of like really, I'm going to see how I deal on that. I'm obviously going to have to come into that quite or as rested as possible, but I thought that was super interesting. I mean, I don't think I'd ever probably try and do 4 in a row, but I think, if you can push yourself to try and hold, your top end category wattage that you are capable of doing, but then try and repeat it a second time, kind of 40 minutes, 30 minutes later, I definitely feel there's some massive training benefits to that. So I'm definitely going to give that a go, and we'll see how that holds. And no doubt I'll have to do that as a Cat C rider, which I'm still able to do. So I put in 3.4 watts this ride, and I haven't been bumped up as a, I haven't got an email, I haven't got Mr. Swift come around and say, hey, like, there's no more Cat C riding. So I will be doing a few more Cat C races, certainly next week. It is also my 41st birthday next week as well, so I'll be doing a 41st birthday FTP test. But this race, I did enjoy it. I just, like, it was, I think you're just kind of coming at it from a different perspective, in that I felt a bit tired, a bit fatigued. So to be able to perform when you are fatigued, I'm not saying everyone's tapered for the race. I know that a lot of us are all in the same boat here. We all just like riding our bikes and diving in on races, and probably all do a bit too much anyway. But it was interesting, and it was nice to be able to hold a 3.4 watts per kg when you do feel a bit fatigued. And I do measure everything, guys. My heart rate was super high last night for sleeping. Usually I'm kind of 41, 42 beats per minute, and I was 46 and I had a horrible night's sleep, and that definitely plays a part. We're coming up to these climbs, and again, you'll notice that I just try and be smooth with it. The wattage is like a bit higher. I tried to be a little bit sneaky on this one, which was everyone was using their power up at the bottom, but I knew that my struggle is basically getting to the top and then holding onto the group. I didn't want to lose the group at the top, so I tried to hold the group for as long as possible without using my power up, knowing that I'd probably get more of a draft effect once we reach the top. So I use it just now, so knowing that I'll still be able to have that effect once we get over the top and once we get back into like a fast rolling pace. So I was quite late on using my power up on that one, on the proviso that I wanted to be able to kind of still have some of that drafting effect coming off the top here. This was the bit that I knew that I would need it. So in actual fact, I can kind of try and be a little bit smoother, a little bit easier with it. And obviously you can see a few people have done the same things because they still have the use of their power up. And then obviously we pick another one up going into the later half of our second loop. I did think it interesting that this kind of a few messages from RT, Mr. Thomas, along the way, basically just saying, you know, how do you feel, and and it did feel like a slower first lap, and I was very thankful for that. I do realize I kind of like had to write that through gritted teeth. He did message saying, you know, how are you finding it on lap 1? And I was like, well, it feels a bit slow, but I knew that if I said that, it might kind of rattle a few people into picking up the pace. But I think the times at the end of it does actually show that as a race itself, I think we were all kind of a bit hand-holdy for this one. It didn't feel like anyone took it, the grip between the teeth, and just kind of hammered it. So it was a bit of an interesting one. This was basically coming towards the end of my race, and I had to kind of put an effort in here to hold the front group. I was doing my absolute best. You know, the dream would have been to finish with the front group, and I can only really do so much. I'm very much at the mercy of how I feel, and you kind of see me just kind of wave it off in a second where I'm just like, I just can't hold it anymore. I was doing my best, guys, and I was trying to hold the group, and I kind of thought with basically just 1k to go, like this is the bit where I just about bump back onto the group, just about hold them, but I'm asking too much for myself. I will note from a heart rate point of view, I don't even get into 170. If you look at my race from earlier in the week, a lot of my race is in the 170s on the HR. So there we go, 171 is about my maximum, and I touch it and then just fall off and die. So that's a good indicator of a bit of fatigue and the body is struggling. So I'm not going to kind of beat myself up too much about this race. But there's me, I kind of fall off with 800 meters to go, 0.5 of a mile. So we'll kick through to the finish and just speed it up a little bit. As I said, RT's, what is it? I wish I could remember his YouTube. I think it's like It's All a Lie. He's got his sprint finish where he just kind of goes. I had a look at it, and he went from 0.4 of a mile out. What's 0.4 of a mile? Like 600 meters out, which I was just like, wow, that's like, you know, that's hard. And he has a good little battle with another rider to take the win. So it's still nice to put in a good performance, and once we cross the line, guys, you will see that again on my power curve, like that kind of 17-18 minutes, I'm hitting a new PR, which is cool. Always happy with those. So we're still developing. A quick reminder, guys, that we are doing a Sun God sunglass giveaway on Monday on my Richmond Park video, and also do please check out the strength training video for cyclists. Let's just have a quick look at the power curve, and there it is, guys. A cheeky kind of best PR. So we are making improvements. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you on the next one. We are going racing Monday evening.